Hello and welcome to Third Party Watch, the show from the CPS Libertarian Party that follows the 2020 elections. I'm Theodore Gercken, and I'm here with my co-host, William Pirone.
Thanks, Teddy. We have a great show today. We're here with Nickolas Wildstar, who is running for Mayor of Fresno as a Libertarian. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I apologize. I must make a correction to that. My campaign has since been suspended since my city's primary was on March 3rd. So I'm no longer running for Mayor of Fresno and am now seeking to run for governor of California again in 2022.
Okay.
Cool. We're just going to talk about your campaign today. So starting with why you decided to run as a Libertarian.
Absolutely. Well, I am a longtime Libertarian movement, I guess involver, but I am a Libertarian Party member, have been since 2016. And ever since I got introduced to Ron Paul back in 2011, I've been liberty-minded and have been, like I said, part of the liberty movement ever since about 2001, I would say. Yeah, shortly after 9/11 happened, I started to dive deeper into, I guess, the true roots of our government and its origins and the creation of the Federal Reserve System and our financial institutions. And that just opened my eyes really to, I guess, the real people running our society and our government. So once I started to dive more into this information and what it actually meant to be involved as a voter, because you get out of high school and they tell you to vote and you kind of just do it and don't question why you're doing it. But once I started to actually find out all of this information, it allowed me to think more about when I vote for these propositions that are offered by politicians, what these politicians themselves are offering. That way I can choose wisely as to who I'm going to be supporting with my vote. So unfortunately, I was blind to just voting by tribalism as a Democrat after high school. But again, once I had started becoming aware to the inner workings of our government, started considering more Republican candidates, which is my first time running for voting for Dr. Ron Paul when he was running for president back in 2012. So I was very disheartened about the presidency of Barack Obama in 2008. He disappointed me heavily when he campaigned on the promise of reforming the banks and Wall Street and ending the wars and closing Guantanamo Bay. And then a month into his presidency, he gets a $500 check from Goldman Sachs. So that let me know right there, he wasn't part of the solution and more of the problem. And then he bailed out the banks, which then passed on that debt to we the people, and student debt inflated heavily because of his administration. And that caused the Occupy protests, the Occupy Wall Street protests, which I was involved in as an organizer as well as a demonstrator. So I got involved in the Occupy protests in around 2008 and was out there as an anonymous protester with my Guy Fawkes mask on, and I had then turned my eyes towards running for office myself. So in 2014, I ran for governor of California. I was a write-in candidate. I got about 12 votes in that election. And then when I ran in 2018, I ran as a Libertarian, and that gathered me about 12,000 votes. So I'm hoping to run again in 2022, as I said, and I still am an advocate of libertarianism. I started to get involved in the Libertarian Party because I felt like it would be a vehicle to help me get more ballot access, more acknowledgement, as a candidate throughout the state, which it definitely did. So I appreciate the support that the platform has provided me. And again, have used it as a springboard to kind of promote the ideas of libertarianism to a broader audience, especially the Black community.
Yeah. So why did you run for mayor specifically and not a different office like Congress or city council?
Well, I feel like executive positions are best suited for me. I'm the type of person that exhibits more leadership qualities. I know my strengths and feel as if I were given the opportunity to be put in such a role, I would definitely deliver on my promises, opposed to where I feel like if I were to get involved, to have taken on a legislative position, I'd have to work with other members, of that organizing body to accomplish my goals and the desires that I, as a candidate, would be promoting to my constituency, those people supporting my campaign to get me elected. So it's harder to do that when you have to work with a group of people that may have opposing views. It may take longer when we, the people, want solutions right now. So that's why I feel as if, again, it's more advantageous for me, as well as those people that are supportive of the ideas that I promote, that I be given an executive position. So I did run for city council in Fullerton as an attempt to get involved in a local body, but that'll probably be my last, because recently, like I said, I ran for mayor of Fresno, and that definitely would have given me the opportunity to follow through on, showing as a leader what I could do on a smaller scale versus on a statewide level. So I am hoping that, again, people consider me as governor in 2022 when I run for that office.
So what do you think about the California primary system? Obviously, you were eliminated back in March, but do you have any thoughts on the whole top two competitors move ahead?
Absolutely, it's disgusting. It's truly a ripoff to the voters of the state, and those people that actually want to have an opportunity to select from people with opposing views or different party platforms. In the state of California, we have a top two state primary where the top two contenders are the only ones that voters get to choose from in the general election. And those two candidates can be from the same party. So we've had instances here in the state where because of the Democratic majority, and not only our legislative branch, but our executive branch have have been in elections where it's been Democrat against Democrat. And we've seen it with the election with Kamala Harris for her Senate seat. We're seeing it right now in the 2020 election for Nancy Pelosi, whose, opponent is another Democrat. So it doesn't make it any better for us, the voters, because I'm still a voter in the state, and it doesn't give us an opportunity to actually choose another candidate that's going to provide us with other options than what the Democratic Party itself offers, and which is extremely progressively liberal, and dangerous to the already existing, state of California here.
So what are some of your major policy goals and objectives?
Well, believe it or not, I did get criticized as a Black man for supporting the criminal justice reform as being one of my main, goals as a candidate. And it's crazy that now, since the killing of George Floyd, that has been sort of promoted to the top of every political or politician's agenda this year, whether it be Joe Biden on the Democratic side or President Trump as a Republican. It's, again, criminal justice reform. And I have always supported such ideas, even when I ran for governor first in 2014, then again in 2018, and as a mayoral candidate here in Fresno this year. So what I would like to do is, of course, see more defunding and disbanding of the police departments as they exist. As a conservative, they're not beneficial to us in our society at all, especially when these abuses of authority happen and you have a police shooting where they're killing or injuring an unarmed civilian. Those lawsuits, they end up happening. We, the people, end up paying the bill when that settlement occurs. So as a taxpayer, we definitely don't want to continue supporting bad behavior by funding it. So if we defund those police departments and now allow private investors to be able to do so, then they would be the one footing the bill and taking on the liability for any wrongdoings of those police officers. Also providing liability insurance, that would be a great way to kind of calm down the behaviors of abuses of authority. And also, again, with, I guess, promoting the Black agenda, which is more so just empowerment of the Black community and those problems that have plagued the community that could also benefit everyone in society. Not only with criminal justice reform, but with those, businesses that are provided in the Black community when it comes to drug sales or drug use. Black people may be the dealers of it, but they're not the providers of it, and they're not the distributor of it. So decriminalization of these substances would allow people of the inner city to be able to be creators of their own product and actually have more control over it. And it would be safer for we the people to consume. Why is it that the medical industry has a monopolization on creation of opiates versus, someone on the street? So when we speak about getting rid of licensure as libertarians, it can't just apply to gun licenses or a fishing license, as to apply to all licenses, including occupational licenses. You would have more flourishing of businesses such as, barber shops or restaurants with less licensure in the Black community. Also with sex workers, prostitution. If you have less regulation of such a practice, and of course decriminalization of those that choose to get involved in a equal exchange between adults, because that's essentially what it is, just like going to McDonald's and agreeing to pay such a price for a hamburger. It's no different than you making that agreement with someone providing sex services. So if it was decriminalized, we would pretty much open the door for police officers to focus more so on those that are truly committing crimes in those fields, such as child trafficking or forcing people into prostitution. So police officers would be able to focus all of their resources and their time and their efforts on those hardened criminals, not innocent ones. So these are a few things that I proposed during my campaign that, again, I feel like would benefit not only people of the Black community, but everyone in society.
Yeah. And so you've run for governor, obviously, 2 times before. And so how did that help you in your mayoral campaign?
It helped me a lot because a lot of people knew me from my gubernatorial campaign, especially with me running as a libertarian. Those people that were seeking to get away from the two-party system in 2018 campaign or 2018 election started to look into the libertarian option. And I know us libertarians that run for governor or mayor or president even get scrutinized for being long shot candidates or somebody that's going to throw off the vote. But we're giving the people another voice. And that's really what they're looking for, is for another option other than what the two-party system is providing. And even if it doesn't look like you have a chance in hell of running, that's where you're going to achieve your greatest success, is by expanding the base of libertarians out there and those willing to support those candidates, such as myself, that run for office. So that gubernatorial run actually helped me get more acknowledgement here in the city of Fresno, helped me gain a larger base in a smaller amount of time. It also gave me an opportunity to kind of wiggle my way into certain arenas, closed door groups that normally I wouldn't have access to. So it definitely had its benefits in many ways. And again, with promoting of the libertarian ideas, we have to focus on what keeps our republic standing. It runs on the three pillars of the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. They fall apart, we have nothing. So and you can see how the Republicans and Democrats are pretty much disintegrating the foundation of that by attacking the Constitution, and which holds it all together. It's the foundation of it. So as a libertarian, I'm able to come in and speak on the promotion of, again, holding up the idea of liberty and justice for all. And people are more accepting of it from a third party candidate, someone that's promoting a more neutral, unbiased opinion.
Makes sense. So what is your opinion of Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen, the Libertarian nominees for the presidency and vice presidency? And do you think they'll improve on 2016's results? Spike's a bit interesting.
That's actually a good question. I've been waiting to be asked that question, and I'm still thinking on how to answer that one. So with that said, I will say this. I'm more excited about Spike Cohen being the vice president of the United States of America than Joe Jorgensen. The idea of having a libertarian president altogether is extremely refreshing. I think right now is a great time for the Libertarian Party to excel to the forefront and actually expand the base of the Libertarian Party and libertarian supporters out there. But I do not think the ticket is strong enough to beat Trump, the Trump machine, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate that the Libertarian Party chose to go a safer route when it comes to selecting their candidate for president, because the people of America are looking for a more radical politician, a more honest and authentic person that's willing to stand up for the values that all of the people in America support and appreciate, that makes this country great. And having someone that's more vocal in championing that is going to help us actually win an election. I believe that Joe Jorgensen is more soft-spoken when it comes to that, aspect of character. So I don't think she'll be able to beat out Gary Johnson because of that. I believe she may be able to pull a lot of female voters because she's a woman running for president, and we definitely would love to see that also here in this country as a first. And you have a lot of supporters of that. Hopefully those, pro women and, feminists and women's rights groups will get behind supporting her and promoting her to the general public because, you know, she doesn't have any skeletons in her closet like Trump or Biden when it comes to sexual abuses against women. So she would be an excellent model for them to lift to the forefront. So I'm very hopeful, you know, about the Libertarian ticket, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Cool. And so, why are you running for governor in 2022?
I am running for governor in 2022 because I believe that I can beat Gavin Newsom this time. He has proven to the people of California that the Democratic, not only the Democratic Party, but the establishment leadership that we've all invested in this whole time doesn't serve us, whether it be a Democrat or it be a Republican. We've seen the leftists of the state ruin, and liberal leaders of the state ruin the very fabric of the economy here, the social body here. People are more disconnected than ever. Here in the city of Fresno, we have a Republican mayor who is against Second Amendment rights and is definitely more authoritarian than any other Democratic leader has presented themselves. So it's like you have extremes on the left and extremes on the right. And people are ready for normalcy when it comes to, having someone be put in a position of leadership and just being a representative of the community. And the governor has actually promoted a lot of libertarian ideas that has been very well received by the public recently, like disbanding the police, different police departments, and also changing certain tactics and increasing training for officers, which is something that I promoted as well during my mayoral campaign, as well as gubernatorial campaign. So I feel as if I can continue to be consistent with what I've been offering as a candidate. Hopefully in 2022, more people will be supportive of actually getting behind supporting me. I am planning on running as a Republican in 2022 simply because the majority of people can't get away from voting for, voting for a third party candidate, and can't get away from voting either Republican or Democrat. And I've gained a lot of support from the Republican Party, or I guess Republican supporters out here in California, and Republican voters. So because I do have a lot of support from that side, I feel like I could definitely have a greater presence in the next election year.
Makes sense. So sort of adding on to that point, do you think that the future of the Libertarian Party is more of like our ideas going into the Republican and Democratic Party and becoming more mainstream? Or do you think it will sort of grow on its own in a third party?
I think the Libertarian Party as a vehicle needs to stay on a steady course. I think we need better drivers because at times they tend to just crash, like with what's happening now with Sarwark and the Libertarian Party, the infighting, and what I've come to find with being involved in the party itself is it's missing a lot of moving parts to help candidates actually excel during elections. Simple things like sending out, mass emails or reaching out to the actual registered libertarians to say, hey, this candidate is running for office, be sure to vote for him or her. They're missing key elements like that, and they leave it up to each candidate themselves to kind of do on their own, which makes it more difficult. And each party sort of does that, but then again, when it comes to structure, the Republicans and Democrats, they have more money funded into them being able to, tighten up that structure, where opposed to the Libertarian Party is still seeking the funding, but with all of the infighting, it deters those that would like to invest into the party. It deters those candidates that are extremely talented that could help excel the party even further, like Justin Amish, who was often offering to run as a Libertarian candidate for president of the United States, but was pushed aside, as well as Lincoln Chaffee and Jacob Hornberger, lots of others. So John Mons, great talented candidates that, again, were unfortunately pushed to the back burner. So it's definitely a matter of growth of the Libertarian Party itself. I view myself as being more so a Ron Paul Republican. So, I'll definitely always be an advocate of libertarianism, and may end up being a lifetime member of the Libertarian Party itself. But using the Republican platform itself will just help me further the libertarian agenda. People, when they see that R or that D next to your name, I don't know, it just sparks more interest, versus an L causes a confusion, because they're trying to figure out, people are still trying to figure out what is a libertarian. So until you can actually get, salesmen out there promoting the libertarian message and actually getting it across to the general public, then that's when it'll actually achieve its ultimate goal.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and good luck in 2022.
Oh, thank you so much. It was an honor to be here speaking with you, gentlemen, and I'm happy to speak with you anytime. So hopefully I'll get an opportunity to chat with you again before the next election.